it's that and the fact that these guys positively push each other. When you look at the way we competed today, got a lot better, and I think it's really coaches, players, everybody pushing in the same direction, but getting the most out of each other.
And your biggest concern?
I don't necessarily say there's a concern. I think you want to continue to do a great job of developing the depth, continuing to identify some of those guys that we're counting on that are really competing through the preseason. But I don't know if there's really any sort of concern. I think it's just let's continue to consistently approach and attack every single day the way that we have. Absolutely. And I think that's something that we really want to try to do a great job of with the guys that are not playing, like you mentioned. And, we had a great opportunity to get really 4 competitive practices, 2 against the Chargers, 2 against the Raiders. And now as we continue to move towards that Carolina game, it's our top guys understanding how to positively push each other, continue to, sharpen each other's saws, if you will. And that's something that we absolutely do. We take a different approach where those guys, we try to create those competitive scenarios now amongst one another. And that's going to be something that we're really focused on over the next couple weeks. I think it's hard to say. There's so many guys because you feel so good about this team, Lindsay. It's hard to identify one person. I think when you do look at it, from an offensive and a defensive standpoint, it sure is great having Aaron Donald here. I continue to come away impressed with Eric Whittle's ownership, his ability to communicate day in and day out. And then I think when you look at the ownership that Jared Goff's taken, you truly talk about mastering the offense, becoming an extension of the coaching staff. We say it, but there's really a special ownership. When we came in and did some work the other day in terms of reading with your feet, quickly progressing, making fast decisions, accurately being able to speed it up at the top of his drops and see coverages the right way. I really have been very pleased with what he's done. And, I could really name a lot of guys, but, those are the guys that, kind of come to mind right away. That's something I would say more likely than not, but we're still working through the specifics of that, Gary, as we kind of get closer and closer to that. So, I don't have the full answer, but more likely than not, he will not go. Yes. There's a lot of layers to it. I think it's really just figuring out, from an organizational standpoint, talking to the players, making sure that we're in alignment with doing things the right way. But most importantly, what we want to do is always look out for our players and what's in their best interest. And that's something that we'll have more clarification as we get closer to that trip. I said Tuesday, but it'll be a little bit closer to when we head out. I think it's something that we'll talk about. That's definitely part of the discussion. But, figuring out the nuances and all the little details is something that, we're kind of working through as an organization right now. I did. I can't believe I had those sideburns. That's what I can't believe. No, I thought... Man, I think I've gotten handsome in my old age. No, you know what it makes you appreciate is just how fortunate I've been in such a short amount of time to be exposed to guys like Coach Gruden, the other people that have invested in me, and to be able to even be standing in this position right now is really a blessing, and it's a credit to the people I've been around. But that was definitely some embarrassing footage that they pulled out. That's true. I got paid. I could have probably gone for food stamps right there. But you know what? I was basically working for free, and it was worth it because, the things that I was able to take away from that experience, you realize how little you knew going into that opportunity, the amount of people that I met, the people that really put their arm around me. I can remember Greg Olson, he didn't have any reason to take his, put his arm around me and really kind of take me in. And he did that. And, to then be able to work with him here, to see him in Oakland doing a great job as an OC, to see what Coach Gruden's done for me. I mean, it's really, it's a blessing to have been a part of that. And, it was certainly an experience that I'll forever cherish. And really, it's a big reason why I've gotten the chances that I have. I think so. I think you heard it, Maria. Really, we've been really impressed with Taylor Rapp. He's a guy that's showing up. I think you're seeing flashes of why we like Darrell Henderson. I mentioned David Edwards is a guy that's mature beyond his years for somebody up front. And I think Greg Gaines is really taking steps in the right direction. So, Another guy, that really you don't talk about quite as much, Natrez Patrick, is somebody that stood out and really taken advantage of some of his opportunities as a result of Justin Lawler going down. But some of those guys are truly starting to really separate themselves. But I think as we continue to play these games, those guys will continue to get more and more opportunities to really shine, and we're hopeful that it becomes more and more clear as we get closer to, finding our 53 and ultimately our 46. He's done a really good job, Gary. Mike's a guy that I've always been a huge fan of, extremely tough competitor. He's got great speed. I think he's catching the ball really consistently. Eric Yarber and Liam Cohen, our receivers coaches, have done a great job really with that group as a whole. In a lot of instances, you talk about Brandon, Robert, Cooper, Josh Reynolds now has really ascended to where you start talking about him. And then I think Mike Thomas has really separated himself as one of those guys that stands out with the way that he's consistently played. It's really never been an issue about talent. It's just he's had some kind of unfortunate issues that have kept him out of the lineup due to injury. But he's a special guy. Just love his consistent demeanor. He's very valuable for Bones, but he's a guy that we're hoping can stay healthy because he can definitely help us at that receiver position. Akib's good. Yeah, he just got a little soft tissue right now, but we're being smart with him. He was playing so well against the Raiders. He made a great breakup, and he just felt a little twinge in that hamstring, so we're going to be smart with Akib right now. He did a good job. I think Cadero's a guy, when you go back to last preseason, you think about we added him, in a kind of a tryout setting right before you start camp. He quickly ascended and did a great job of maximizing his opportunities. Got a chance to play in some games last year. He comes in the Seattle game and makes a big catch on a 2nd and long. So Cadero's a guy that's done a nice job, made some good catches, was able to create after the catch. And, he's another guy that's been a bright spot in that receiver room for sure. Pro Football Focus grading him out, man. I like it. I probably will, since it was such an embarrassing deal. No, I'll flip it on. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.